After an elderly black man was shot to death by a white police officer last month. Members of the community are gathering tonight. In a moment, we'll talk to the mayor, David Newell, who's been inside tonight's town meeting in Homer. And with us again, Howard Witt, national correspondent for the Chicago Tribune. And Howard, this victim, Bernard Monroe, he had throat cancer. He was unable to talk. And so did that somehow have an effect on what took place?
It could have contributed perhaps to some of the confusion because, you know, he wouldn't have been able to call out or say anything. He would have just been walking up towards this front door. But what's interesting, too, is that you have to understand this whole incident occurred against the backdrop of real mistrust in that town between the police and the black community. And I think that raised a lot of mutual misunderstandings and confusion on both sides.
I want to bring in Mayor David Newell right now. And Mayor, you just heard Howard Witt talk about this mistrust in the community. Obviously, people are upset, especially African Americans. And so how have you been dealing with this? Is it real, that mistrust that is there between African Americans in Homer and the police?
I hate to say that it's real. I think there's mistrust between citizens in general and police department. I think we have to do a better job of communication.
Now, Mayor, have you talked to the officers involved? What did they say took place?
I've not talked to the officers involved personally, and it is under an investigation, and I would not want to discuss the facts of the case.
Mayor, I do want to get your response to something. Here's what Police Chief Russell Mills told Howard Witt. He said, quote, "If I see 3 or 4 young black men walking down the street, I have to stop them and check their names. I want them to be afraid every time they see the police that they might get arrested. We're not out there trying to abuse and harass people. We're trying to protect the law-abiding citizens locked behind their doors in fear." Now, you know, I understand the role as a police officer to serve and protect, but he's essentially saying that I see somebody, I don't have necessarily a reason to stop them. So is he racially profiling them? What is your response to that comment from your police chief?
I think that was a very poor choice of words. I think he was pretty much talking about the neighborhood that he would be driving in. I think it was a poor choice of words. I think he should not have said that.
Well, he may have said it, but if that's his true feelings, doesn't that point to this whole mistrust that Howard alluded to?
I think you'd have to talk to the chief on exactly what he was saying. If the chief said that he is racially profiling, well, then absolutely that would create mistrust. I don't think that's what he was intending to say.
Hey, Howard, we spoke a few moments ago with CNN's Sean Calebs, and he talked about these multiple investigations, and they're all kind of things that are going on. What's the difference between the various investigations? State, FBI, what's going on?
Yeah, the state police will be looking primarily at the criminal case, whether or not there's criminal charges that should be filed against the police. The FBI is looking primarily at a civil rights angle, whether or not there's a federal civil rights action that ought to be initiated here. And that's also what the interest of the Justice Department is, as well as the branch of the Justice Department that's there tonight running that meeting is interested in community reconciliation. And they're trying to bring black folks and white folks together to try to talk about these deep underlying issues.
Mayor, what about that? Have you seen white citizens in your town and African Americans speaking more about these differences that are going on, or is this largely a black concern with what took place with Mr. Monroe?
No, I think it's a great concern of everybody in the community. It's a tragedy. I'm saddened. I personally know the family. I know many of the citizens in the community, and it's a tragedy for us all.
Well, it is certainly a tragedy. It sort of harkens back to the case, of course, in Atlanta, where several officers there shot and killed an elderly African-American woman, and many of those cops actually went to jail. We'll certainly see what happens in this case. Mayor David Newell, we certainly appreciate it. Howard Witt with Chicago Tribune, we certainly appreciate all your fine reporting on this story, and look to talk to you again. Folks, Michael Steele, how was your week? Our political panel looks at the Republican Party chairman's future. Is he good or bad for the grand old party?
Of the promise of America.
We live in a mobile society. Our customers can access the internet at 3G speed almost anywhere today. But some people are still tethered to their home or office when they don't need to be. Wireless is more than just a word. It's a way of living.
Try America's most dependable 3G network with Simply Everything Plus mobile broadband. You get wireless 3G for your laptop and unlimited